Hello, hi, how are
Hello,
you?
good to see you. How are
Good to see you
you?
too.
You look
Yeah,
really
all good,
well.
thank you.
Oh, good, good.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We've got a few people joining on. Hi, Tatiana. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Deepa. It's lovely to have you here. Those who
No
don't know me,
problem.
my name is Gwen from My Spiritual Butterfly, and I'm joined tonight by Dr. Deepa Apte, who's the founder of Ayurveda Pura. And she is an Ayurvedic doctor, Ayurvedic consultant. She's also a medical doctor, which is really interesting to kind of find out a little bit more about that. She teaches Ayurveda at her training academy, and she's also a yoga teacher. So quite a lot of things that she does around Ayurveda, which is brilliant. But I'm really happy to have you on, Dr. Deepa. For me, my sort of, I have an interest in Ayurveda, but know very little about it. I think for me, I kind of stop around things like the herbal teas and spices, but I know there's so much more. And we had a chat last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I think,
Yes.
didn't we? And even then, you enlightened me to just how many different elements there are to Ayurveda. So it's wonderful to sort of have you on there so we can find out a little bit more about Ayurveda and its benefits, and just, how it all works, basically. But before we get into that, it'd be absolutely wonderful to find out a little bit more about you and your sort of spiritual journey to Ayurveda and what drew you to becoming an Ayurvedic doctor.
Yeah. First of all, sorry, I know I look a bit tired, but that's because I've been working, teaching for the last, I think, 3 weeks straight.
Oh,
So even today I was running a training
fabulous.
course. So I've just come back home, I think like 20 minutes ago or something like that.
Oh,
But yeah.
wow.
A little bit about me.
Yes.
I'm originally from India. I'm a medical doctor and Ayurvedic practitioner, a yoga teacher. People do ask me how come from a medical background I've moved into Ayurveda.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not my parents, but in my family back in India, I do have a few aunts, uncles, who come from an Ayurvedic background.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how I was first introduced to Ayurveda. And of course, when I was growing up, then I first studied medicine. And the way I ended up studying medicine, because it's just that Indian thing, you know what? You are clever, so you should become a medical doctor. So that is how I first studied medicine. And then, but still, the interest in Ayurveda was still there. So
Mm-hmm.
after I finished studying medicine and I worked in the field of gastroenterology, then after that I went back to studying Ayurveda. Then I studied yoga. Then I studied Vastu, which is the Indian Feng Shui,
Mm-hmm.
or the Indian kind of Feng Shui, and then Jyotish, which is the Vedic Astrology. So once, many years ago, there was a time when I used to combine all the three systems in my practice, that is medicine, Ayurveda, and yoga. But then ever since I've moved here to London, I focus on Ayurveda and yoga only. And of course, through that, then I also started the company Ayurveda Pura. The way that happened to be was when I started practicing over here in London, I realized that, yes, I used to do these Ayurvedic consultations and I used to suggest many different things to my clients. But
Mm-hmm.
then when it came to sourcing products, be it herbal teas or herbs or oils or anything like that, it was quite difficult. And
Mm-hmm.
the first question in my mind was that if for me as an Ayurvedic practitioner, if I find it difficult to source products, that means my clients would be even more discouraged. They wouldn't know where to go or how to go about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that is how then I started the company Ayurveda Pura.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, it was only products, but then I have been invited many times, but that one time when I was invited to do a talk lecture, like a seminar at a health exhibition, and at the end of the talk, I had at least 15, 20 people asking, "You've just given this great talk. Is there any place that I can come to study Ayurveda?"
Mm-hmm.
So, and hence, it's been what, 16, or not 16, it's been 17 years now. Even before my son was born, I
Wow.
started Ayurveda Pura Academy. And when I used to train people, it was mostly from central London, where I used to hire yoga centers and venues. But
Mm-hmm.
then my students would say, I've learned all this from you, but is there any place that I could come and try these treatments or
Mm-hmm.
come for a consultation? So
Mm-hmm.
that is how then I opened up the Ayurveda Pura Health Spa
Mm-hmm.
in North Greenwich, that is the southeast part of London. So it's like one thing led to the other. So that
Wonderful.
is how then I'm here today. I teach, I talk, I do everything that is Ayurveda or yoga or Vastu or Jyotish. I'm quite fortunate that I do get invited. I work with companies like Estee Lauder, Aveda, Rituals, and giving talks on Ayurveda and Yoga to their management level team. So, and I get invited to do talks, lectures, like everywhere. So that is a little bit about me.
Yeah, fabulous. So literally, if somebody comes to you, they don't need to go anywhere else. If it concerns Ayurveda, you've pretty much got everything covered there. So they've got that whole holistic piece there, which is fabulous. Thank you. So it would be nice just to, for those of us who don't know, just to actually find out exactly what Ayurveda is. Obviously, we know a lot about you now, but what is Ayurveda? And what are all the different elements of that?
The way people look into Ayurveda in general is people do say, yes, Ayurveda is the ancient holistic system from India. So as a first, how can I say, introduction, yes, Ayurveda is kind of an Indian medical system, but it's not purely Indian. Because the word Ayurveda has got two words, Ayu meaning life and Veda meaning science. And hence when put together, science of life. And I usually joke about this to all my students also saying that, life is everywhere, not just in India, out here in UK, in America, in Europe. And hence, wherever there is life, Ayurveda as a science or system exists. So it's just not an Indian system of medicine, but it is much more global, which can be practiced everywhere. Yeah. So that's the first thing. And as the word goes, science of life. Yeah. So when we say life, life is just not within us, life is around us too. Meaning even for me to live, I need all these non-living elements like, space or air or fire or water. Without these elements, I can't live. That means in Ayurveda, the whole nature is also involved or included. And what Ayurveda also says is that we are nothing but a reflection or a reaction of nature around us. So the way we are, if it is cold outside, I will feel cold. If it is hot, I will feel hot. So that is the nature itself. But then along with that, you will see that if I'm in an environment of happy people, I will feel happy. If I'm in an environment of, stress or any kind of aggression, I feel it too. And hence we are a reflection or reaction of nature or even environment of people around us. And what Ayurveda says is that we are always observing ourselves and the environment. And through that, we are following various approaches, be it foods or herbs or everyday lifestyle accordingly. So that is very much in general. But then a lot of people, the way people do know about Ayurveda is all about body types and constitutions. Probably you may have heard words like, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, doshas, body types. Yeah. And of course, these are doshas or body types in very simple words, but not necessarily dosha being in terms of physiological functions and actions, but looking into body types now. What Ayurveda says is that we are all born with a specific body type or constitution. So when we say body type or constitution, first is Vata. So Vata literally means air. And air is always active. Likewise, such people also, they are physically, mentally, emotionally active. They are creative. They love to communicate. They love to travel. So it's all about movement. So that's the first body type, Vata or air. The second one is called Pitta. And Pitta literally means fire. And just the way fire is kind of sharp, it's penetrating, it's kind of, focused. Likewise, such people also, they're very focused, they're ambitious, they know exactly what they want in life, So have that ambition, they are determined. And now the last body type is Kapha. And Kapha is a combination of water and earth. So when we say water, you will say that water has got the quality of being soft, gentle, and flowing. Likewise, such people, they are more kind of, they're gentle nature, they just go with the flow, they're not rigid, they're not stubborn. But on the other hand, Kapha also has earth. And earth is heavy. So that gives a quality of being more stable and patient. So we are looking into our personalities, our behaviors, our likes, our dislikes through these three words, that is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha body types. But then what Ayurveda also says is that all of us are a combination of all of these. And whichever of these energies, Vata, Pitta, or Kapha kind of dominate, then that is what is going to make our constitution. And based on our constitution or body type, then we start doing things around us. So likewise, Ayurveda talks about 5 approaches. And these are foods, herbs, massages, everyday lifestyle routine, and yoga. So if I get to know I'm a Vata or air-related body type, that means that, I know, yes, I'm going to be too active. I'm going to be quite restless. That may probably produce a bit of dryness in the body. And hence Ayurveda will say, okay, fine, start having foods that will reduce that restlessness, or start having foods that will bring in that nourishment in the body, or even massages with more oil, or yoga practice to ground down that excess air movement. So that is the principle of Ayurvedic, like approaches. So in very simple words, one of the main aims of Ayurveda is to find out what your body type is. And based on your body type or constitution, we are talking about foods, herbs, massages, yoga, everyday routine, which is very much tailor-made to that particular individual or that particular person.
And can that change? Can that body type change over time?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. So again, I just simply said body type, but then also each individual, we believe, has got two different body constitutions. The first one, we say basic body type. It is the one that you're born with. So it's like your DNA imprint. It is your identity. It will never change. It will always be with you. But the other one is your today's constitution. And we believe that whatever that we are nowadays is a result of all the influences around us. It can be food, it can be weather, family, friends, work, travel, so all of this also changes us as an individual. And your today's body type can keep changing, so meaning based on like maybe 2 years ago, the way I was different. Now through COVID, my attitude, my reactions have changed. So that particular body type can change. And the best way of comparing these two body types, your basic body type, in Ayurveda, we also call it Prakriti, which means Mother Nature. Your natural body type is like a solid hard surface. It is stable, it is solid, it won't move, it won't change. And the other one, that is today's body type, is called Vikriti. And Vikriti literally means a deformity, or one that has gone away from its natural form. And you can compare this today's constitution like a layer of dust on this solid hard surface. And the aim is to wipe away that layer of dust so that you go to that actual surface that you are, It can be wooden, it can be metal, it can be steel. So it's all about going back to your inherent constitution or your, DNA identity. So yes, each individual has got two different constitutions.
That's so interesting. So I guess if you are moving quite far away from your basic natural constitution or body type, that's when we attract illness, sickness, some kind of imbalance. That's kind of what you're saying. Then we need to kind of come back to the basics. Wow. Okay. It's fascinating. I absolutely didn't know it was so in depth and so changing.
Oh no. Ayurveda is very in depth. And I'm fortunate that I have studied medicine, but every time I go back to seeing how Ayurveda works, I always tell everyone, I think Ayurveda is much more medical than modern medicine or modern medical science.
There's a deeper understanding there, of course. Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you so much. So in terms of, you mentioned something that piqued my attention. You mentioned an aspect of Ayurveda which is very similar to Feng Shui. I guess the environment, the energy, how is that kind of looked at within Ayurveda? What sort of happens with that?
Well, it is not a part of Ayurveda. Vastu or Feng Shui or our Indian Feng Shui is one of the 4 healing sciences. So the way I look into these 4 healing sciences, I say that these are like the 4 legs of a table or a stool, and we need all these 4 legs for the table to be stable. And these 4 sciences are Ayurveda, then it is Yoga, then it is Vastu, which is of course, that can be compared to Feng Shui, then it is the science of direction and spaces, and the last one is Jyotish, which is Vedic Astrology. But then as you say, yes, even in Ayurveda, we are giving a lot of importance to spaces or healing spaces around us. That is where Vastu plays a big role. And it's the same thing, Let's say if I'm in a hot, humid environment or room, I will feel hot, humid, sweating. If it is really cold around me, even in that space or that environment, I will feel cold. So that is how we are looking into that Feng Shui, of course not Feng Shui, but Vastu aspect, which can be compared to Ayurveda. And in Ayurveda, of course, you've said it's space. When we talk about the 5 main elements in Ayurveda, these are space, air, fire, water, and earth. And among all of these, we give space the most importance. We believe that without space, nothing else exists. And we also call space as the king of all the elements. The moment we say space, comes the whole signs of direction. So it's like north or east, south or west, all of these.
Yeah.
And based on this particular science, we believe that each direction holds a particular energy, and we should be living in line with that energy of that direction rather than against it. And that is where, again, healing also is included. So depending on, the best way I can put it is, when we call in the house, when we have kitchen, we know in the kitchen I need to cook. I can't be sleeping in the kitchen. Or if there's a bathroom, it is for me to have a shower. I can't be studying or reading in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That means energies of space change. Likewise, this particular science too of Vastu. And we bring in healing in our life, in our living spaces, or even our working spaces by being aware and following those principles of activities for those spaces.
Very, very similar to Feng Shui, because it's the same thing. Working on your, I think initially they'll assess your date of birth, and that dictates what direction you should sleep in, and where you should, what your finance corner or your family corner or whatever it is. So very, very similar there.
I know. I don't mean to sound fanatic over here, but Feng Shui comes from Vastu. Vastu is taken to be the source, mother source, or source of all healing sciences, including Vastu.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, I didn't know.
Feng Shui. So Feng Shui comes from Vastu.
Fantastic, lovely. But thank you for shedding a bit of light on that. That was, as I said, something that's quite interesting for me to understand in terms of the space aspect, as well as all the other elements and everything sort of belonging within that very universal kind of way of thinking, which is fabulous. Yeah. Thank you. So in terms of if someone were to come to you for a consultation, what could they expect? What's the process you kind of take them through in order to kind of be able to recommend a solution or a remedy for them, or a change of lifestyle? What sort of process will they go through with you?
When we talk about an Ayurvedic consultation, it's interesting. What was written down in the ancient textbooks of Ayurveda thousands and thousands of years ago, that is what modern medicine supposedly follows now. And the 4 aspects of consultation, which even nowadays the modern medical doctors should be doing, or allopathic doctors, is we ask questions, then we do the observation, then palpation and auscultation, So history taking through observation, we're literally observing the individual. It can be color of the skin, color of the nails, or anything like that, or even lumps, bumps, or anything like that. Then palpation. Through palpation, also things like, checking the pulse, that is pulse diagnosis, or palpation, temperature or any changes. And when we say auscultation, it is hearing sounds. So in Ayurveda also, I know people coming from an allopathic background, people think that stethoscope was something that was discovered, or so not discovered, invented in the last 500-600 years. But in Ayurveda also, we had the whole concept of, hearing sounds in the body, including the heart or peristalsis in the abdomen. So we follow exactly the same thing. But the way, of course, practice has slight bit changed now is, or at least in the consultation that I do over here, I ask lots and lots of questions. Of course, a lot of times people will see that when they do an online Ayurvedic questionnaire, we're answering a lot of questions based on the questionnaire. But it is believed that when you see a person, you will get to know only 50% of the story. But it is only when you ask questions or check the pulse or have a look at the tongue, you get to know the whole story. So that is how we look into it. And in Ayurveda, me as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I need to understand each and every aspect of an individual's life, everyday living. It can even be like everyday habits, their history, their presentation, because it's literally like when you have that jigsaw puzzle. Even when you don't have that one piece, that whole picture is incomplete. So I need to complete that picture. So bearing that in mind, we ask questions all about past medical histories, like allergies or what history of any surgeries, or even if I may get a 60-year-old lady who has gone through menopause and everything, I will still go back and ask about time of her puberty, if she had children, how the pregnancies were, how the menopausal phase was, because all of that ultimately leads to the person who we are nowadays. So
Yes.
First of all, it's all past medical kind of history.
Mm-hmm.
Then whatever presenting complaints that they are coming with,
Mm-hmm.
So literally going through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then another very important bit is their everyday routine and lifestyle nowadays. So it can be, I literally ask them, so what time do you wake up in the morning? And the next question is, okay, fine, the moment you wake up, what's the first thing you eat or drink, or how does your day begin? And literally going through the whole day, including food intake, water, physical activity, social lifestyle. So it's not just about what they're doing for themselves, but do they go out? Do they meet friends? How is their family life? Are they happy with their job? More in-depth questioning about, their job, any stresses at work and all of that. Then if it is a female client, then the menstrual history. Then if it is a male client, then family history of, because you will see that mostly men tend to carry, familial history of diabetes and cholesterol and everything. So looking into all of that. Then after that, then we usually check the pulse. And when we check the pulse, through that, we get to know an individual's basic body type, which is Prakriti, and then their today's constitution, Vikriti. But interestingly, in Ayurveda, just by checking the pulse, we also get to know the status of all certain tissues in the body, then status of organ systems, status of the mind, then presence of any toxins at all in the body, so a lot of things that we get to know. Then have a look at the tongue. So based on all this information, which takes approximately an hour, then I might come to the conclusion of what their body type, constitution, or what may be going wrong in the body or in the mind based on pulse diagnosis and tongue diagnosis. Then ultimately, as a conclusion, then we usually give a therapy plan out, which will include suggestions on tailor-made, like, foods or herbs, massages, yoga, everyday lifestyle and routine. So it's quite an in-depth consultation.
Yeah, it's super in-depth and super unique to them. So it's definitely something to, if someone has maybe not had much success with traditional medicine, although this sounds like it works perfectly well alongside traditional medicine, that they could maybe take this as an approach because it is unique to you. It's not, usually you go to your doctor, no offense to doctors, but it is usually a kind of brushstroke approach. So it's nice that it's completely tailored to you and your constitution, what's going on with you at the moment, your whole lifestyle. Very holistic approach, which is fabulous. So in terms of the astrology, how does that fit into everything, and how in depth does that go? And I'm assuming it's not about predictions, but more about, again, the person in front of you.
No, the Vedic astrology is such. No, actually, you get to know things what may happen based on the planetary positions, the 9 planets, all of that. So when we talk about Vedic astrology, there are many different aspects to it. I mean, looking at it more scientifically and medically, it's like even when you're looking into your lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, your lunar cycle, solar cycle, all of these are a part of Vedic astrology. It's literally the effect of the sun, the moon, the 9 planets on us, on Earth, on our everyday life. You will see that the best way I can put it across as about Vedic astrology is, in Jyotish, we believe that even during that 24-hour period, you have auspicious times and we say the dark times, not so good times.
Yeah.
And the best way I can explain is, sometimes when you're at home and you want to leave home, you just can't find your keys or your phone, no matter what you do, You're trying everything. You're trying to make that phone call, or you're trying to send that email, and it doesn't work. It is believed that just the way at the end of the day, when we've worked really hard, our body needs to sleep. So we are very fortunate. We can go to sleep at night, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever. Likewise, even Mother Nature needs to sleep. But then Mother Nature say, but if I took a 8 or 9 hour break or sleep, the whole world will collapse. So all I can do is just take 10-15-minute naps here and there. So the time when Mother Nature is sleeping or Prakriti is sleeping, that is when, everything goes down, not so good. But then after that, suddenly everything starts working because she has taken a short nap and now she's refreshed, she is active, she is ready to go. And hence the auspicious times of the day, So that is how we look, like in the day. But not only that, in Vedic astrology, the way it is, it's like everything is very closely integrated into our everyday routine lifestyle. Even to the point that my name Deepa is we say Janmanam, which is like, my birth name based on my astrological sign. Oh, wow. It is not a name that my parents said, oh, I like this name, so I'm going to give it to you. So even my name Deepa, again, Unlike what happens nowadays, where sometimes people already decide names beforehand, before the baby is born, or like, in Vedic astrology, we don't do that. We wait till the baby is born, because for the name to be decided, it is then time of the birth, then, like date, month, year, latitude, longitude of where the baby was born, then parents' astrological signs. So putting it all together, it's like a mathematical calculation. And based on that, they come up with the name. So my name, Deepa, actually means the holy light, a flame that we burn, like, in front of, like our gods, because I'm Hindu, so in our puja rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And rightly so, that is my name, because if you look into my basic body type, I'm a tridoshic personality, meaning I've got all the three doshas, like, vata, pitta, kapha energies.
Okay.
But even in that pitta energy of fire, when I was born, was not as strong. That means every time someone calls me by the name Deepa, it's like sound therapy, it's vibration therapy. It reflects off, it is helping to nourish that fire in the body. And I usually also joke saying that I know now, if you were to ask me to speak even in front of 500-600 people, which I've done in the past, I will go for it. So when people look at me nowadays, they're like, no, but Dr. Deepa, you are so fiery. And I usually joke saying that's because people have been calling me Deepa for so many years of my life. So that's one aspect of, our Vedic astrology. But likewise, there are many different things that we are bearing in mind.
That's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. In terms of, I guess, examples of how we can get some help from Ayurvedic medicine, can you give some examples, without obviously giving away any names and keeping confidentiality, of how you've maybe helped clients in the past with various things, whether it's, I don't know, insomnia or menopause, just kind of how that's kind of come about and how quickly perhaps as well?
Yeah. Again, I'm very fortunate because I've studied both allopathy and Ayurveda, and the kind of clients that I do get nowadays are more, how can I say, clients with proper medical presentations or diagnosis.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I do get a quite varied, and it's not just adults. I might even get a 2-month-old infant, with certain presentations, or sometimes even a 6-month-old baby, or like teens, adolescents, older people coming with a kind of quite a varied presentation. So it can be anything with, as you've said, insomnia or asthma or thyroid conditions, or presenting with various kinds of cancers, autoimmune illnesses, colitis, Crohn's, fibromyalgia. So it's quite a wide range.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very fortunate that every time people come and say it has really helped, they tell me, Dr. Deepa, thanks a lot, you've helped me a lot. I tell them, no, it is not me who's helped you, it is Ayurveda, because all the suggestions that I give are Ayurvedic. It's not something that I have created, it's directly from the textbooks.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there are so many examples I can give. I'm just trying to think one where I would say, oh yes, it has really helped. There's so many. Oh yeah, I could give one example of where there was this lady, of course, this is from a few years ago, with a history of diabetes, then history of chronic fatigue syndrome, and along with that, she has had a history of several miscarriages in the past, and every time she would get pregnant, come to 6-week or 8-week, pregnancy and then miscarriage. But then when she came to me, of course, she wasn't pregnant, so we took it as a whole kind of journey.
Yeah.
And this was, of course, 3-4 years ago. And through all the herbs and foods and suggestions that were given, she got pregnant, and she was pregnant. She had a daughter. The daughter's already 2 years old now.
Oh, lovely.
So that is one kind of example that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Having said that, when you talk about insomnia too, of course, that is one of the things in Ayurveda. We believe that it can be easily corrected when suggestions are properly followed. So yeah, insomnia, I've had many clients in the past where different types of insomnia. It can be stress related, hormone related, it can be dryness related, heat related. So based on the kind of presentations, the suggestions given will also change. But yes, people have seen improvements in insomnia too.
And in terms of time frame, is it something, usually with natural medicine, we do need to give it time to work? So do you find they get some kind of healing within a few weeks, or is it a few months? How?
People with insomnia, they have seen changes within 3 days.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
Sometimes a week.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I remember. This was from many. In fact, I remember she even wrote an article of it. It was from what's the magazine? I think from then, many years ago. It was either Natural Health or I can't remember the name of the magazine, but it's a printed publication.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she came with presentation of chronic fatigue syndrome, IBS, and insomnia. And chronic insomnia, where she hadn't slept for like only maybe 2-3 hours every evening for almost 6-7 years.
Wow.
So but she came for a consultation, and I did. Of course, this was a few years ago, and then did like massages, like a foot massage and a kind of a marma therapy massage. And that day when she went back home, she actually slept throughout the night.
Wow.
And she actually called up next day saying, "You won't believe it. I have actually slept for 7 or 8 hours in I don't know how many years." And her feedback or review on, like Ayurvedic therapies when she wrote that article was that I couldn't believe that I actually fell asleep on the first night of treatment.
That's fabulous. And in terms of more sort of mental health conditions, things like anxiety, depression, is it really helpful for that as well?
Oh, yes.
Fabulous.
Now, when you're looking into mental health imbalances and illnesses, we usually combine Ayurveda with yoga, so it's a combination. But even in that, people will see huge changes.
Yeah.
Or even over the whole COVID coronavirus pandemic period, I have had lots of clients presenting with anxiety, panic attacks, and like as extreme state.
Yeah.
And with certain, of course, Ayurvedic herbs and certain changes with foods and everyday lifestyle and routine, people have seen huge improvements in that too.
That's fabulous. Wow. Thank you very much. So it literally helps with everything, no matter what. There's nothing that you couldn't look at really with Ayurveda, which is fabulous to know.
Yeah, absolutely correct. But do bear in mind that Ayurveda is like any other medical science, meaning it is practical, it is logical, where modern medicine may look at first initial symptoms of disease as, let's say, stage 1. In Ayurveda, for that is already stage 3, meaning, in Ayurveda, we're looking into 2 more stages, which were much before symptoms presented. And hence that is how then Ayurveda has got a stronger hold, or that kind of advantage that we can actually start bringing changes, correcting the stage 1 and 2, which based on modern medicine may have been asymptomatic. So that way too. But again, our lives are finite, restricted, meaning, we all live certain number of years.
Yeah.
So also after a point, then Ayurveda will say, if that illness is quite far advanced, then it is more to do with management. We can't just give hope all the time saying, "Oh yes, don't worry, it will be fine." There will sometimes come a time that the change will take place.
Yeah. So it's realistic in that sense. Okay. And in terms of the training, so you have your training academy. I'm just interested to know what is involved in learning Ayurveda. How long does it take? How many stages are there? If somebody were really interested in learning this for themselves, can you tell us a little bit about that?
The way I have put the whole academy kind of curriculum together, there are courses and workshops for everyone's interest. So we offer 1-day, 2-day workshops or 3-day courses. So if that is what they like, it can be introduction to Ayurveda 1-day workshop, or it may be Ayurveda for women 2-day workshop, or Ayurveda for pregnancy 2-day workshop. So that different kind of offerings in terms of workshops. But if someone is looking to study Ayurveda to become an Ayurvedic practitioner or yoga teacher or an Ayurvedic therapist, then there are various other courses too. So, and the way I've designed all the courses is that there is no overlap. And the various courses that we offer, that is practitioner level courses, is Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle consultant course. So in that, you learn how to do a consultation, check the pulse, check the tongue. That means at the end of it, you are trained to put a therapy plan together with all the 5 approaches. Then the next one is the Ayurvedic therapist course, which is a manual therapies course. It's literally all hands-on. So a person learns all Ayurvedic manual therapies like Shirodhara, the signature treatment of Ayurveda where we pour oil on the forehead, or like full body massages, treatments, and all the classical traditional ones. So that is another course. Then the next one after that is the advanced practitioner course. So once someone has done the consultant course and the therapist course, and then they can take that studies further to go even more in depth with Ayurveda, where things started to become more tailor made. So we talk about in depth Panchakarma. It is the Ayurvedic, it's a signature Ayurvedic cleansing program, so cleansing programs for certain medical conditions like rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia or underactive thyroid, overactive thyroid. So, taking that practice further. But then along with that, I also then offer the yoga teacher training course. So through that, of course, it is for even someone who is really interested in yoga but hasn't really practiced a lot of yoga but wants to become a yoga teacher because they have that commitment and sincerity. So it is for such people. And of course, that is again a year-long course. So most of these courses are either 6 months long or altogether a year-long course. So if someone wanted to study all of these together, it will take them probably 4 years.
Wow, so it's very thorough, which is good. It's good. In terms of the style of yoga, what style of yoga do you practice or teach?
Well, there is no style because it comes directly from the ancient textbooks.
Okay.
I know nowadays we do have traditions like, today's tradition of Hatha Yoga, or you've got today's style of Ashtanga Yoga or your Vinyasa flow or Shivananda. Having said that, I've studied them all, but what I've actually studied as my part of training, like from India, is I call it the classical yoga practice. So they come directly from the ancient textbooks of Ayurveda, like Hatha Yoga Pradipika, or, of course, Yoga Sutras, or textbooks like Heranda Samhita or Shiva Samhita. So they're directly from the source. So the kind of yoga that I teach is, can't say a combination, but it is a more traditional, authentic, if you want to call it, old style. I'm very old-fashioned in many ways.
That's fine.
I like it.
It's good, same. That's fabulous. Thank you. What I wanted to do, and that's just such an amazing insight. I know you've had to condense a lot of information in there, but I think it's just opened up all of our minds to what Ayurveda is and how deep it is and how far back it goes and how much it can help us, which is fantastic. I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions. I can check the comments to see if anyone has any questions for you. So I'm just going to scroll through. We've got quite a lot of comments on here, so you might want to pop your question back in. I don't know if you're checking as well, Dr. Deepa. Sometimes I
I'm trying to have a look, but can't check.
Lots of little smiley faces.
I can't see anything. So
hearts, wonderful. If anyone has any questions, just pop it in the comments now. Let's just see. Can't see anything here. Auntie Karim, lots of lovely love hearts. Is that Anki? Anki Tharum? I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. Lots of lovely love hearts. There's lots of love coming in for you, Dr. Deepa.
oh, thank you.
Which is wonderful. I mean, there was so much information there, which is amazing. But yeah, I'm scrolling through. I'm not seeing any questions. People saying hi, which is lovely. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything specific. I'm going all the way down to the bottom now in case someone's put something back. Does being a bit nervous at a consultation affect the pulse diagnosis? This is a great question.
Yeah, of course it does, because when we talk about pulse diagnosis in Ayurveda, it is nothing but how you are reflecting your prana or your energy out. And hence, when we talk about doing pulse diagnosis in an Ayurvedic consultation, we always leave it towards the end so that, the client gets to know the practitioner. We never start in the beginning. Having said that, traditionally, thousands of years ago, the first question that a Vaidya is what they are called, the old kind of, like Ayurvedic practitioners.
Yeah.
All that they would have asked was the profession of the client. And the second thing that we would have done was check the pulse. But then our hearts were so open, we say koshas, our envelopes around us was so kind of clear that people never felt nervous or anxious or even doubtful. In fact, I was telling a group of students last week that nowadays with every little thing there is doubt. And I also joked saying that I'm sure that even before you came to study with me, I'm sure you must have researched me quite a lot. You must have researched Ayurveda Pura quite a lot before you thought, oh yes, I want to go and study with Dr. Deepa, because nowadays our environment is full of doubt. So, and hence to change that now, we actually ask all the questions in the beginning, then we check the pulse and then the tongue. That means by then, the client is now completely relaxed. The client knows the practitioner a bit more, there's familiarity, and hence that nervousness also dissipates. So yes, by the time it comes to the pulse diagnosis bit, there is no doubt or anxiety or nervousness too. But it does affect, if there were to be some.
Yeah.
But then if an Ayurvedic practitioner is really good, just by checking the pulse also, they will get to know that the client is nervous or anxious, and they will ask them to calm down, because through the pulse we get to know quite a lot.
Yeah, I see. That's a really good question from Arise Alive Ayurveda. Thank you for that. It's fantastic. But yeah, it makes sense to do it at the end when everyone is a bit more relaxed. But it is also a reflection of our time now that you have to do it at the end, which is a shame. Okay, wonderful. I can't see any other questions. Yeah, we've got someone saying here, is that Pranoti? I had a very good experience with liver cleanse program. That's something, because I've started doing that recently. Do you ever recommend intermittent fasting, liver cleansing, as well? Is that obviously part of the treatment too?
Yeah. See, in Ayurveda, we say that preparation is the key to success. First of all, that is the thing. But prevention is also very important. So the way we look into Ayurvedic approaches and therapies is like we are always, it's like MOT. In fact, I was telling my students today, we get an MOT done for our car, making sure that it will never break down. Likewise, we need to do the same for our bodies too. And hence all these practices like liver cleanses, or we have certain types of detoxes, or panchakarma, which is a cleansing program, helps to get rid of all the toxin or any tendency towards any illness or disease in the body, and helps to make the body stronger. So yes, if someone wanted to do a liver cleanse, I usually say that once every 6 months is really good. Even if not every 6 months, at least once a year. Because in Ayurveda, for us, liver is a very important organ, and that is where we tend to hold a lot of heat and inflammation.
Yeah.
And once there is heat or inflammation in the liver, then through the blood, because there's a big connection between liver, blood, then the endocrine system or the skin. That means that heat then kind of gets distributed to various organ systems, and it causes further problems. So yeah, such cleanses, liver cleanses, yes. And you did talk about intermittent fasting. And having said that, the whole concept of that, in a way, if you were to read the ancient scriptures of Ayurveda, it comes from Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, we have practiced something for a very, very long time. And we say that as long as you can see the sun is when we eat solid food.
Yes.
When we don't see the sun, we drink only warm liquids, fluids, and drinks.
Wow.
And hence the principle is that we always eat something solid only from sunrise to sunset. After that, that is a principle. And hence, so the modern world has termed it intermittent fasting to make it sound trendy.
Yeah.
But in Ayurveda or yoga, we have followed that for thousands and thousands of years. So yeah.
I understand that. Yeah. Even I've started doing it, and I have seen the benefits of it. Not eating before 10 and having more energy. Whereas I used to say that if I didn't have breakfast, I'd feel faint, I'd feel tired. And it's literally not true. We have enough stored within us anyway. And I have more energy. I'm able to go to the gym, and I haven't even eaten anything, and eat around sort of 10, 11, 12. And then a little bit harder to stop eating at the end of the day. So I have to work on that a little bit more. But for me, I can definitely see the benefits even of stretching it in the morning. So my tummy is the stomach is empty. My body's able to perform other processes that it needs to perform. Yeah, so definitely feel a lot more efficient from doing that. That's great.
In Ayurveda, when you take your practice further, we say that you have only one solid meal every day. Rest of the time, you're having more nourishing fluids. And I'm very fortunate. Maybe that's because of the way my body type is or constitution. It's been at least, I don't know what, 7 years now. I eat only one meal every day in the evening around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Wow.
So I've been doing that for a long time. It really helps.
And the rest of the time you're having liquids? You're having liquids the rest of the time?
Yeah, during the day I have lots of herbal teas. To be honest, I also tell people I'm not a purist.
Okay.
I am very practical. So during the day I might have one hot chocolate as liquid fluid, sometimes with dairy milk, sometimes with coconut milk. I might have one or two like teas or herbal teas, plenty of coconut water. But my main meal is in the evening.
Fair enough. That's wonderful. That's brilliant. Great. Thank you so much. So as we haven't got any more questions, I have a final question for you, Dr. Deepa. I'm just checking we haven't got any more questions. I don't think we have. No, so that's fine. So my final question I guess, what are 3 quick tips or quick pieces of advice you can offer us or share with us to help us live a happy and healthy life?
Okay. Now, talking about life itself, you have to look into 2 aspects. One is philosophy, one is practicality. Having, of course, born and brought up in India, and especially my mom, she was one of my most important teachers. And I remember her always telling me that we live life only once. Every moment that is going by will never come back. So you have to make the best of it. But just because you think this is the only moment does not mean that you overindulge or go overboard. But even it is in this moment, you still have to think at least 10 years ahead from now. So yes, everything that I'm doing now, what impact is it going to have on my body in 10 years time? So both ways. And hence it means that yes, you should enjoy your life, but from the point of view that you are aware of your body. Awareness and mindfulness are the 2 most important things that will keep us happy. And little things to do on a daily basis for that kind of, our everyday small, like as I say, those little pleasures of everyday life is as soon as you wake up, smile a lot. And the moment you start your day with a smile, even if you're forcing it, you'll be amazed, how much it helps. So that is, one other thing. And again, the other thing is more health related. As and when you can, just do a simple 1-day fast. It doesn't have to be every day. Even if it is once a month, once every 2 weeks, just let go of food. Because in Ayurveda, for us, as human beings, we live for love. There are 2 things in Ayurveda we believe that can lead to good or bad. Love will help heal. Anger will cause disease. That is literally what it is. And it's all about understanding, where you are kind of, directing that energy. So again, from that point of view, again, and through love comes a whole quality of attachment. And in Ayurveda, we believe that if we do not find that love from another individual, another human being, our first point of love is food. And what Ayurveda also says at that point is 2 things. We never eat food alone, and we never drink alcohol alone, always in the company of someone else. Because if, especially from the point of view of mental health, nowadays, especially, mental health status, our lives have become so isolated that, we are all by ourselves sometimes. And with that thought process of that I'm alone, if you eat food, it makes, those thoughts become even more in your mind. You think a lot about what am I going to do in my life? I'm a bit depressed, this, that, it doesn't help. So always eat in the company of someone else, and very important, even alcohol. And when it comes to alcohol, this is a rule that I follow because I love alcohol, but I'm not an alcoholic. I usually joke. You ask me to make any kind of cocktails, I will be on it. But my rule is I will drink alcohol only when I'm celebrating something or when I'm happy. If I'm stressed, if I'm angry, if I'm irritable, if I'm sad, or anything like that, I will not touch alcohol. So that is one main other rule to follow, just to be happy. So it's like simple things that you do on a daily basis. I'm not going to talk about any typical, how can I say, I know many people do it, all these complicated Ayurvedic suggestions. No, because Ayurveda itself says science of life. Whatever we are doing in our life is Ayurvedic. But it all depends on when you do, how you do, and under what circumstances.
Yeah, of course. We've got Ampaya Medina, if I said that right, but she lives alone, so she always eats alone. She has no choice. So that's fine. As long as you're enjoying your food with a happy heart, it's energy. We need to have that good relationship with food, is what we're saying, as opposed to eating it and thinking this is going to make me fat, this is going to make me this. So if you're blessing your food, you're loving your food, it's fine, my darling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I know Ampai, she's actually one of my students. I know who she is.
Oh, okay.
And I understand. She used to live here. She's now moved out of London to her own home country and hometown. So I'm going to tell Ampai that even if there is no one at home with you to eat, once in a while, switch on your Skype, switch on your WhatsApp video or whatever, have chats with your friends, family, even if not every day, at least every 2-3 days, while you have your meal, talk to someone while you do that. So it doesn't have to be every day, but as and when you can.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful advice. Lovely. Absolutely excellent wisdom and advice. So insightful today, Dr. Deepa. Absolutely loved it. And I know we had some set questions that we've gone all over. I feel I have an amazing understanding of Ayurveda now. I know I obviously still don't know as much as you obviously do, but it has made me want to explore it a little bit more. As another sort of healing path, really, something else to sort of look at when maybe we've tried everything else in the medicinal world. To look at something like this, it very much has that beautiful sort of energy-based feel to it, which I absolutely adore. And then the fact that it's taking in all the elements, all the aspects of us, and looking at us holistically and individually. So it makes complete sense that you have amazing success with it and healings with it. And it's great that you're able to kind of offer the teaching aspect as well, and the yoga aspects of people who do want to go deeper. They can go on that journey with you. So I guess just to finish off, if people did want to get in touch with you, have a consultation with you, or even train with you, where can they find you?
Yes. First of all, over here on my Instagram account, that is Deepa Apte. And my company website address is ayurvedapura.com. And everything is over there, everything about consultations and academy courses or treatments, the health center, or even sourcing products or anything like that. So it's ayurvedapura.com or my account, Deepa Apte.
Wonderful. And you've also got a YouTube channel, I've noticed as well. So
yes,
find you there.
Yeah, it's Ayurveda Pura London. I think it says Dr. Deepa Apte - Ayurveda Pura London. Wonderful. So yeah, there's YouTube channel too.
Fabulous. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Deepa. It's been a real pleasure. Really, really interesting. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it. Do get in touch with Dr. Deepa if you need to know more, want to know more, or you'd like to arrange a consultation or find out more about training. She's now told you exactly where to find her. Do follow her on her Instagram page if you're not already. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. Really insightful. And enlightening. So thank you so much, Dr. Deepa. Wishing you a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be in
touch. Have a good evening on your side.
Thank you.
Yes.
You take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.